Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're jumping back down into the world of Luna Classic, following on from yesterday's video with the price action of LUNC. As I get into this, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, tap the bell and stay up to date with all the live streams and videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, link is in the description down below. Why not check it out? I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. Okay. Let's get right into it. Let's keep this nice and brief and on point. No bullshit, straight to it. Basically, here we have Luna Classic paired up with BUSD on the hourly chart. Binance is our data source. Now, yesterday we were talking about this potential move to the upside and the potential move to the downside. We were talking about how we had this kind of bear flag situation, this parallel channel with the lower or higher lows and higher highs getting set, what we usually break down from. And I was actually thinking that we're more likely going to be moving to the upside instead. However, we had that wild card play out and we did move down to the target of 0.0003996. We actually went down a fraction lower. Let me just show you, right? So when we were talking about this, we had scoped out this little yellow target zoned right down here. Now, essentially we had that, as I said, 0.0003996, and our wicks came down to this point here, which is actually flat at basically 0.0003900, right? So we just came down an extra point, 96, that fraction of nothing really at that point. But yeah, so we got very, very close to our target. Our wild card played out. We then moved up and we pulled back down afterwards. Okay, so this was a bouncing area for us. This move and this change in the data makes us understand exactly what's going on here in a little bit deeper and a little bit of a bigger kind of way. Now, essentially, our bigger macro target still is in play here. We haven't actually dropped down this low yet, but this one is, of course, coming in at 0.000333374. Okay, now this is our 1-to-1. However, this target is going to change because we didn't actually come up to our resistance at 54514. Okay, and that being up here. So if you're not familiar, check out yesterday's video, but essentially that's kind of done and dusted. We're not moving that high now. So we need to adjust our targets to the low side so that we can be prepared for what happens next. The breakdown from this area is interesting, and I'm going to go and walk you through what's gone on here since, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start things off by measuring this fib from our low of this wick, okay, which also happens to be a low of 0.0003692, and we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, and we have this high point up here at the 59300 area. Okay, we're going to take this and we're going to move this over to our A wave bounce here. This is the one up here, right? And I can now delete because we don't need that. Okay, this basically now means that our target has come down ever so slightly lower. We are looking at now moving this into the range of 0.000311123. Okay, and this area is basically going to be our new 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, now I'm going to remove this fib, get that out of the way. I'm going to take our three-wave structure that we mapped up as our wildcard yesterday, make that yellow, and then we can see the breakdown from this parallel channel. I'm going to remove this channel now so we don't need it, and we're also going to remove this resistance line, and we're going to adjust our B wave to this high point just up here. Okay, so this means that we're likely to come on down a little bit further. However, the big caveat here is that our A wave, this low point down here, has actually done something different. We've created ourselves a double bottom. Now, a double bottom is basically hitting the same price twice. Okay, it isn't like getting close to it. It's not saying, up here at this 0.00039 is not the same as moving down to this area of 0.00036. I know that sometimes people talk about, oh, we're a double bottom, but you're not a double bottom at that point. A double bottom is exactly what you see here, where you're within a reasonable tolerance of that price. So in this particular example, this low dashed line is coming in at 0.0003692, and we wicked down to the low of 0.000363336. Okay, so we got within a tolerable area of that, and that's an acceptable low. Okay, so what we've actually got going on here is a three-wave structural drop here into our first low target. Okay, this was our wild card, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to map this now to the actual low of our C wave, which is going to be right in there. Okay, I'm going to map this to our B wave high, and I'm going to map this origin to that one there. So now we have that. Okay, and this double bottom is important because this double bottom basically tells us that we've met the minimum requirement of this macro C wave. The minimum requirement is at least a double bottom. Okay, we can talk about coming down to the 1-to-1 ratio down here at 0.00031123. This is your kind of 1-to-1 typical movement. This is what you would normally expect to see, but there's no guarantee that it actually plays out. Instead, your minimum requirement has been met, and anything lower than this is a bit of a bonus in terms of shorting if you wanted to. Okay, so understand that that's kind of, we've met the minimum requirement, but there is still typically lower to go. Okay, now we have to take a look at this structure here. And again, if we were to think of this as another 3-wave drop containing 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, we've also met that technical requirement as well. So if we come into here, we can go ahead and say this is an A wave, this is a B wave, and this is a C wave. Although it is not on the 1-to-1 ratio, and I'll show you what that looks like using the fib tool here. Just going to move that over. Our 1-to-1 ratio would be putting us down at this low level just over here, and I'll see if I can map that in. Okay, that basically comes in at this level just here at 0.00033365. Okay, that would be the kind of the expectation on that kind of structure as a typical move. You would expect to see that. However, anything lower than this originating A wave position, or this low A wave position here, is basically the minimum requirement of that C wave being met. So we already are within that territory of thinking, okay, there's a little bit more room to potentially go down into. If we were to take that current price, we would think, okay, there's a possible 20% or so move to the downside. Okay, in which case we might want to kind of, risk manage accordingly. However, there's also a lot more room to the upside. Now I want to talk about a couple of the things as well. So we understand that there's still potential to move down, and looking at it, we've kind of completed a little mini 3-wave structure here already to this upside as well, meaning that we could be looking at another 3-wave drop, this being A, this being B, coming down here, we complete C. Okay, and then this area here of 0.00033365 might be close enough to actually being within our typical kind of range of what we'd expect for that slightly bigger macro C wave structure. Okay, so I'm going to remove that for now. We just understand that that's kind of a typical thing. We're looking somewhere probably between the range of 0.00033365 and of course 31123, somewhere in that range there. And I will, just for the sake of it, go ahead and just put a little rectangular box in there as well so we know what that is. Okay, so that's kind of that expectation. Let's talk about something else that's getting circulated around a little bit here with Lunar Classic, and that's the head and shoulder pattern. Okay, our head and shoulder pattern, let me grab hold of the structure here, is basically speculating that this high point is the head, this is our right shoulder, this is our left shoulder. There's a problem with this, and I'll show you why, right? We have to pick up an area, or pick an area here, that is going to be the origin position of our left shoulder. Now we could of course take down here, for example, we can kind of do this, and we can take that high point, we can take this low point, we take this high point, we take this low point over here, we take this high point, and then of course we move on down into what has to be over here as our next low point. Okay, now that's a kind of weird, wacky kind of shape, but it's a head and shoulder pattern nonetheless. And, we'd have to, the main issue that I have here with this, by the way, guys, is that there is no real good origin just around this low point of the neckline, as in we can start down here and we rallied up and we kind of complete that structure and move down, move up, move down, move up, and then break back down from here. And this area here would actually be very much aligned to thinking about this kind of area of this pullback back to origin level. So wouldn't be too surprised if we do actually pull back in this kind of range that we've been talking about. Okay, so from a head and shoulder point of view, yeah, it's not too bad, it's kind of there, but I do have a problem with the fact that we don't have a nice neat origin around the neck level here. But no, it's not the be all and end all of that. The other thing that's kind of worth talking about is if I pull this up into our let's take a 4-hour kind of stance on this. And what I will do is I'm going to temporarily, I think, delete everything off of here, just to kind of get everything off, right? Just temporarily. I'll put it all back in a second. But basically here we have a 4-hour chart, and this is the other thing that's really interesting is we are potentially in some kind of bear flag situation. Okay, we have this huge pole coming to the upside here, and we're looking for this break to the downside. Now, on this 4-hourly chart, one of the things that we often talk about, right, and we've been talking about these things time and time again, are specifically these kind of ranges, right? We have our kind of lower lows and lower highs all within these ranges here, and we always break break to the upside on these. I say always, but we have a high probability of breaking to the upside on these, right? And the same thing is happening, just a slightly larger scale on this 4-hourly chart right at the top here, okay? And basically we are setting ourselves up with these lower highs, okay? And this might seem or feel bearish, but it's not really bearish at all. And the only thing that we haven't really done, if I take this one over here and pull this down here, is we haven't retested this low. So I'm still thinking that we are going to pull back a little bit here, and we're going to basically create a new lower low on this range, okay? Creating this new lower low, completing our kind of bear flag kind of structure, okay? Now with this, and it's bear flag's not necessarily the right, sorry, bull flag's not necessarily the right thing to be thinking about in these kind of structures. Think of them as parallel channels, think of them as lower highs and lower lows, however you want to think about them, however you want to kind of articulate them. It doesn't really matter too much. They all kind of generally mean the same thing. So with this bull flag potential going on, then we'll be looking for that break to the upside. But first of all, we have to kind of come down into a new lower low within this range. Okay, so from this kind of angle, we can kind of see that as a potential move that could be playing out. So what I will do, of course, is now go ahead and actually undo all of those moves and bring back our initial analysis that we were talking about pretty much for the beginning of this video. Let me see if I can find it. And we're going to bring it back. There we go. Okay, so with all that back in here, obviously this low down here would basically be looking at a new lower low to kind of marry up and finish that structure off. Okay, let's go back into our hourly. Let's bring our stochastic up. Okay, so here we can see that there's this little bump in price and a little bit of a bump on our stochastic RSI. Nothing major though. Okay, basically indicating that we have got the momentum to go up higher, but until the sentiment in the space changes, I'm not sure that's going to be seen just yet. The 4-hourly chart has plenty of momentum. The 8-hourly chart has the momentum. The daily chart is almost completely oversold. So on this next pull to the downside, I think we're going to be in a really primed position to see a really good swing to the upside. And I think that's going to be very, very lucrative for many people. We haven't really got anything for the weekly, so we don't have to worry about that. But for the most part, across these timeframes, Lunar Classic is looking ready to kind of finish off a corrective structure and then start to have a bit of a rally to the upside. So I'm pretty excited to see, you know, another maybe 15-20% drop to the downside, complete off our structures, and then start talking about a really nice swing to new higher highs or local highs within here, well over these kind of ranges. And again, we are looking at trying to take out that area of 0.00071,958 on our journey to 1 cent. And I think that would be somewhere around 120 or so percent in gains from that particular level. So that's still on the horizon. We are still talking about working our way up towards 1 cent. And I do think that is something that we are probably going to see when it comes to Lunar Classic in the near future. For now though, do enjoy this slight accumulation zones as they appear, as they come down a little bit lower in price. Guys, I'm going to leave this video there. If you found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow us down in Discord as well. Guys, until the next one, have a fantastic day.